evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of NPU Weekly, the weekly webcast show that highlights all the goings-on of all within the world of North Park University athletics. I am your host, Kevin Shepke, and for this week's show, it's kind of a light show this week as the football team had an off week, a bye week this past week, as they will be returning to action this weekend when they will travel to Wheaton College for their first CCIW conference game of the week. So we will not be talking with Coach Conway today, but we were gladly joined today by Steve Imig of the head cross country team. So he will be joined with us later on in the show. After that, we'll be showing you some other highlights of some of the other teams on campus. And we'll also be talking about what's coming up for some of the other teams as well. Going right into things though, but before we do go into anything highlight-wise, let's go ahead and show you that interview that we had with Coach Steve earlier on today for the cross-country team. The Vikings were coming off a very solid performance at the COD Invite, where both teams finished with an 11th place finish. But let's go ahead and show you that interview that we had with Steve earlier today. Head cross-country coach Steve Imig of the North Park Vikings. North Park coming off a very solid performance at the College of DuPage Invite last week, where both teams finished 11th in the competition out at COD. It was this past Friday, September 26th, where the Vikings were out in Glen Ellen. So let's talk a bit about this, Steve. How are you, first of all, today?
Good. Thanks for the chance to do this, Kev.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's talk about just what the teams were able to do. Obviously, both finished in 11th. Some tight competition that was on both the men's and women's side. Talk a bit about just some of the teams that were in this thing and what you guys had to stand up to really come out with a solid finish for both teams.
Sure, absolutely. It was kind of an interesting field. It was a mixture of Division I, some junior colleges, Division III, and so that's maybe a little unique to cross country. There's certainly some other sports that's the case as well. But to see some schools like Loyola and University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and Milwaukee, and UIC was there, so it's. I think it's fun that our kids get the chance to go against some Division I level teams, and I think we held our own. We competed well. I'm encouraged, and also at the same time, I think the entire team feels like in the weeks ahead, we need to run better, and hopefully we will. But it was a good stepping stone and a good checkpoint towards where we want to be.
Let's talk a bit about on the women's side. Mia Gomez had the biggest highlight of the day. She finished as 27th. You and I were talking a little bit earlier this morning. Has the potential to be an all CCIW all conference performer, being the first since Hannah Landecker since 2006. She finished as 27th with a time of 19:37. Talk a bit about what she was able to do in this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Mia, for her, this is really dating back to last year to some extent, where she had a very good, solid freshman year, and her confidence, it's been growing, over the course of kind of the track season last year, and then through the summer, she had a good, solid summer, and then getting into the heart of the action this fall. And so for her she ran great at the 10K last year in track, and I think that just kind of helped to open up the doors a little bit with showing her what's possible for this fall. And she has some big aspirations, which is great. She definitely is, I think, believing more and more what can be. And that's huge, because for our program over the last 3 years, it's been this process of more and more. We want people to realize what is possible and to not put barriers on what we can do. So, but yeah, she's been instrumental for us up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about how her performance kind of trickled down. Kathleen McCarrick finishes with a 2028 for a top 70 performance, 66th overall. Lindsay Nesberg finishes 81st with a 2052, just kind of highlighting some of the other performances by the ladies. Talk a bit about what they were able to do in their performances as well.
Sure, absolutely. Kathleen's kind of an interesting story in that she really did not run at the high school level. For the most part. She ran a little bit of track at Maine South High School, but she's jumped in, and just especially this year, it's going to be awfully fun to see the growth that has already taken place and that will continue to take place. I mean, her times, ultimately for all of us, we're training for 6K instead of 5K,
Yeah.
and I think we're going to be a better 6K team, to tell you the truth. But, Kathleen has already just smashed where she was at last year, and that's going to continue. Lindsay Nesberg and Annika Manning, I think the heart of our lineup is a real strength of ours. I mean, our 2 through 4 runners, if we can continue to tighten up that pack, and help them to realize what's where they can be, then that's certainly going to help our team quite a bit, and we're looking to try and close the door in a strong fashion with our number 5 runner, and we feel like we have some good pieces of the puzzle to help do that, and as the weeks come along, hopefully more and more that 1 to 5 split can decrease.
Okay. Moving to the other side of the things, the men's team does a very well job as well. Saul Lopez, highlighting their effort, finishes the 28:03 for 53rd. Talk a bit about what he was able to do out there.
Well, Saul is, if we could somehow clone Saul, that's what we'd like to do. I mean, he just is a tremendous young man. He's a tremendous, he has a tremendous work ethic and dedication and passion for the team and for the sport. And so he really is just, I don't know if there's a better way to say, he's kind of reaping the benefits of the work he's put in. He had a monster summer, and it's our first 8K with the men's, the men's this fall, men's team. And so I think in the weeks, in the coming weeks, that's certainly going to be, I think we ran solid, but I don't think anybody is absolutely thrilled with how they ran, and so it's a good checkpoint, but certainly bigger and better things hopefully to come in the weeks ahead. But Saul's huge up front, and then you go into some of the other guys on the team, and I think the closer that with the guys side, we can potentially be hopefully pretty tight with our 1 to 5 split as well, and that's I mean, every coach hopes that'll be the case, but I know in comparison to last year, we're certainly a much stronger team, and hopefully that'll show through. Yeah, talking a little about the other two guys, a couple of the other guys too. Ricky Barajas finished 70th with a 28:40, and then the little bit of a gap there with Thomas Simek. It's finished 74th, just a 10-second gap though, at 28:50. Talk about what those guys too were able to do for the team. Right. Well, Ricky, I think he's been there before, and that's huge for us. So being a junior and having really kind of helped to restart the program in a lot of ways. He came in when the program, was really struggling, and so he's had a large part in the growth that has taken place over the last couple of years. And he's getting back in shape. He had a good summer, but he actually didn't have a great summer. But I think he's gonna he has a lot of miles on his legs, and as he is able to just more and more every day, every week, he looks better and better. And so he's gonna continue to really progress. And Thomas, his first 8K, he's a freshman, comes from a good high school program, and I think it'll be really fun to see how much Thomas can grow in the coming weeks. So he comes from a coach at the high school level who I know has prepared him well. Yeah. And, as he gets used to run an 8K cross country, I honestly think he could be, 8K might be his race in a lot of ways. Transitioning from a 3-mile race at the high school level gives him a little bit more time to progress, and he just moved constantly up through the field this past Friday, which was a lot of fun. So awesome. Okay. And then I gotta highlight Steve Smurd as well. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So Steve, another guy that we're counting on. Certainly he needs to be one of kind of our core guys, and has had a little bit of a rough month with kind of some stuff going on. But I think as we get him kind of back in the pattern and back to rolling there, that he can be right with those other guys, and that's huge. And then we're looking for some people to help close the door, and we feel like we have the guys to help do that. So yeah, absolutely. Now this week you guys got the Wisconsin Lutheran Warrior Invite coming up October 4th. Looking at the weather reports, looks like now the weather is going to be changing. How much do you think that's going to have an effect on the guys? Or I wouldn't say so much an effect, maybe an advantage possibly, because I know that the colder the weather, the better it is for guys and gals to be able to compete in the competition. Talk about what that's going to mean. Right. Well, I think sometimes when it's 75 degrees and it's almost October, it doesn't feel very cross-country-esque. So
Yeah.
as the weather does start turning, that's most runners look forward to that, to have some cooler weather, and hopefully this weekend it'll be a little bit more conducive. This past weekend is definitely a little on the warm side, with temps in the upper 70s at race time. But hopefully racing Saturday morning, and anytime you go north, it's going to be a little bit cooler from that perspective.
Right.
So we're hoping for the best, and I think no matter what, kind of what I said before, I mean, we're going to do as well as we can. We're going to focus on ourselves, and the weather, yes, it does play a role, but we try not to focus on that too much. So
yeah, okay. All right, so thanks so much for taking the time this week, Steve, and we wish you the best of luck this week.
Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely. And we'd like to thank once again Steve for joining us this afternoon. As we said, the Vikings coming off a very solid performance that they had at the COD Invite, and they'll be coming back into action this October 4th, this weekend, when they'll be traveling to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the Wisconsin Lutheran College Invite. Looking at some of the other teams on campus, women's soccer earned a 2-1 victory over Monmouth College yesterday. It was the first appearance for senior Katrina Decker-Mengen, who ended up scoring the game winner for the Vikings in the 69th minute for her first goal of her senior season. She scored it off of 2-time assists from both Emma Lundin and Annika Nyquist to score what was her 11th goal of her 4-year career. And it was also the third victory for the Vikings in the last 4 games. So North Park a little bit on a hot streak, as they will be returning to action this Wednesday. It's still one more non-conference game before they open up against Millikan on Saturday. They'll be going to the Illinois Institute of Technology this coming Wednesday night. Looking at some of the other teams on campus, men's soccer is just absolutely on fire this week. After a unbelievable comeback against UW Oshkosh after being down on September 23rd by a 2-0 score, the Vikings come back to earn a 3-2 victory. Pedram Tamemosole, who has just been having an incredible sophomore season for the Vikings, scored the game winner in the 108th minute for North Park to get that victory. So North Park has been in the national rankings now, in the D3Soccer.com national rankings, in the top 25. So we're eager to see where the Vikings will be landing, as that national poll is going to be released today. So Vikings, after that 3-2 victory over Wisconsin Oshkosh, they went later and backed that up with a 2-0 victory over Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology on Saturday, September 27th. And again, Pedram Tamemosole just was on fire in that game. He ended up assisting on a Marcus Woolton goal and ended up scoring his second goal of the game in the 76th minute, which is his team leading 7th goal of the season. So as I said, Pedram Tamemosole just having an unbelievable season for the Vikings so far this year, as North Park now will be coming back home after a short road trip that included a California trip over to UC Santa Cruz, but they'll be coming back home now on Wednesday evening, as they'll be hosting an NAIA opponent in Robert Morris College, and we will be bringing you that game live on our NPU Live channel, so we hope that you will join us that evening at 7 p.m. on the NPU Live channel, and we're hoping to bring you some highlights of that game as well later that evening. So that'll be on October 1st. As we touched on, the North Park football team was in a bye week last week, so they did not play. They will be opening up against Wheaton College this coming week, and they do not return home until October 11th, when they'll be hosting North Central College for their next home game, and then 3 weeks from then will be their homecoming game, October 25th, where they'll be facing off against Carthage. Going at some of the other teams on campus, we mentioned women's soccer, mentioned men's soccer, football, as well as cross country. The women's volleyball team is also having an exceptional stretch here of games. They extended their win streak to six matches last week, which is, from what we were able to attain, is the longest winning streak in almost the last 8 years for the Vikings volleyball team. They defeated the Moody Bible Institute by a score of 3-0, and we've got some highlights from that matchup. So let's go ahead and show you the highlights from that match earlier in the week against the Moody Bible Institute.
But play to serve again. Play serve is up. By none. Was to Possibility. He Possibility barely tips it over there. Trying to do for the Vikings. Garcia with serve is up. Intercepted there by their too early. Hurley gives it back over to Irvine. Williams still there. Williams serve is up. And giving it to Hurley. Hurley gets it to Anderson. Anderson gives it over the net there. Play intercepted, gives it back to Switzer. Switzer gets Possibility. To be killed by Possibility. Then gets to Switzer, who gives it to Novoso. Point goes to the Vikings. The Vikings now lead 24-16.
And like I said, it was just an unbelievably exciting game for the Vikings. Coach Walanga, Coach Dietz, and Coach Shelby Switzer for that game. Speaking of Switzer, Darby Switzer, Shelby's little sister, ended up earning CCIW Defensive Player of the Week honors for her performance at the Alverno College Inferno Classic last weekend, where she had 136 assists. She was also very, very solid in her performance against the Moody Bible Institute. Looking at some of the highlights for North Park against Moody Bible, Mona Lisa Fossabellium as well as Haley Brake both had 13 kills in that victory, as the offense was really just flowing, as you saw from the highlights, just really dominating Moody Bible and getting that victory strongly, as well as Savone Williams, who also had 8 kills in that performance as well. So, as I said, North Park just off to a solid start in this stretch of games, just having won 6 straight, and they now open the conference season tomorrow night, where they'll be playing Millikan University at home, and we will also be bringing you that game live on our NPU Live channel, so we hope that you will join play-by-play webcast announcer Chris Dutyskirt, who will be bringing you all the live action of North Park volleyball that evening. So we hope that you tune in to the NPU Live channel to see that game. As I said, touched on volleyball, cross country, football. The women's tennis team was also in action last week. Unfortunately, they lost to Augustana by a 9-0 decision. But we do have some of the highlights from that matchup earlier in the week. So let's go ahead and show you some of that from last week's matchup against Augustana.
the ball, Juvie. Okay? Nice. Good job, ladies. Come on.
As I said, it was a very, very solid performance for the Vikings, but unfortunately, the scoring margin does not show how close that performance was for North Park. Actually was in that performance for them. So, and then later on in the week, they went ahead and played Elmhurst in a matchup that was originally scheduled for the season opener on August 30th, but came back and just came so close to getting that victory, their first conference victory of the program since the program was reinstated, for Coach Carl Clifton at Soderstrom, but they ended up losing by a 5-4 margin. The one highlight, though, is Elisa Daniels is continuing to moving toward an all-conference season for the freshman from South Africa, as she improved her number one singles record to 6-3 overall. So now the Vikings tennis team will return back to action tomorrow when they travel to Elgin and take on Judson University, and then their last home match will be this Saturday when they host Carthage on October 4th. So hopefully that will be the first conference victory for Coach at Soderstrom and Jana Goossens and the Vikings. So once again, my name is Kevin Shepke, and I'd like to thank you again for joining NPU Weekly this evening. We hope you enjoyed today's webcast, and we hope that you will join us later on this week for some exciting Vikings action starting tomorrow night with Vikings volleyball at 7 and Vikings men's soccer again at 7 on Wednesday, as well as a doubleheader of men's and women's soccer on Saturday, where the Vikings will be taking on Millikan University. So we want to once again thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy your week, everyone. Go Vikings!